All right, guys, here she is.
Hey,
Hi, I'm so
what's
excited
up?
to meet you, Taylor. My name's Lux.
Hey, Lux, how you doing?
I'm in St. Louis, where you were born and raised, where I was born.
Uh, I know. I miss it. How's it going? How you guys holding up?
The sun is out today. It's beautiful weather. If we can keep that, I think it's great. I think it's great.
Nice,
I
nice.
did,
It's been a minute since I've been in St. Louis,
I
but
know. I did have somebody ask me before you jumped on here. His handle was at Michael Nixon for life. He wanted to know if you had any St. Louis food spots that you remember from being a kid or from touring here.
um, well, it's changed a lot since I lived there. I mean, because I used to go to like everywhere in the Loop at the
Yeah.
time, so it was like my go-to. Like Panera Bread was
Yeah.
fancy for me.
Yeah.
That was my shit.
Panera Bread still is fancy to me. It still is fancy.
And there's a few like local Mexican restaurants that I used to love, but they're closed now. They're not around. Every time I come back, I'm always like looking up my old spots, and they're no longer there. So I need pointers for the next time we're on tour.
Oh, good. The Del Mar Loop is always a good place to start. Probably because you played so many shows in different venues there, whether it be the pageant or you know what I mean. So I could
Well,
see the bounce
I
there.
also grew up like really close to the Loop. Like that's where my house was. So
Really?
The Loop was my neighborhood. Of course, back in the day, it was not as safe as it is now. Like
Yeah.
it was not somewhere you didn't really want to take a right from where I was coming
No,
and go that way.
I live just a couple blocks north of Del Mar on North and South, so that is my
Yeah.
hood right now. So I probably unknowingly like drive by your favorite spots. And if you're mentioning the Mexican restaurants, I know the ones that you're probably talking about in that area.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. I love it. I was down on like Melville, so
That's awesome.
wasn't that far away from there.
Well, I've
Um,
been a fan of yours for a very long time. I feel like I've watched you grow up, which is probably strange, and you hear it a lot, I'm sure. Being
so
that for a young girl in St. Louis to see another young girl from St. Louis be in television shows and movies was so great. But for a young rock and roller to see another young rock and roller, female rock and roller, and you have taken active rock and alternative rock and female fronted rock to another level.
oh,
Some of the
well,
things that you have done have never been done before or haven't been done since like, the 70s or the 80s, which is really incredible. And you've got a new record coming out, which is so wonderful. The title track has been playing nonstop on our station.
thank you.
But I'm so excited. We have finally started playing, and so it went.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm excited too. I'm so excited that song's finally out. Um,
Great.
it's it's pretty freaking cool. It's I mean,
What was it like working with Tom Morello? Or rather, we should be asking Tom what it was like working with Taylor Momsen, I'm sure.
no. It's, he's the hierarchy. He's above.
Okay,
Um,
good.
it's incredible. It was. I mean, I've known Tom for quite a few years now. We met. We've met many times, kind of in passing, but we really reconnected a few years back at the Chris Cornell I Am the Highway tribute show in Los Angeles, and so that's kind of where we rebonded or whatever you want to call it. And shortly after that, I was starting to record the record, and I had this song, and so it went. And just due to I couldn't for the life of me hear it without. I mean, I could hear it, but I really could hear Tom Morello coming in and wailing a solo. Like his specific sound seemed to match so well with what I had already written, just due to the lyrical content alone, and then and kind of the structure of the song and the overall vibe. Like he felt like such a unique, powerful voice that I love. That's what I love about musicians in general, but like especially the great ones and the great guitar players is that they sound, when they play their instrument, they sound like they're singing.
Yes.
It sounds like a human voice. Like you don't hear a Tom Morello guitar solo and mistake it for someone else.
You really, you really
You know.
don't. And the same way I think is going to be said after the song gets played more, 3 minutes in, you hit this falsetto solo that is just so beautiful, and the juxtaposition of the rock and that are just so perfect. And I think that will be a moment where people are going to know your voice, you know what I mean, distinctively as well, which I thought was
Yeah.
beautiful. And
Oh,
both of you
thank
as
you.
artists are both so not just the voice and not just the voice, but both of you
Yeah.
are mental voices. You speak with your music. you speak out in interviews, you speak from the heart. And I think, and so had so much of that feeling of communication and observation. It really is amazing.
Well, thank you. My goodness, you're making me blush here. Thank you. Because I never know how to talk about songs. I really don't, because it's you know, talking. There's some famous quote, something along the lines of like, talking about music is like dancing about architecture. Like, it's just, I don't know. You listen to it, like it's all there in the song for you to hear and interpret and take how you want to take it. So me kind of trying to tell you about it is always kind of this strange thing that I'm kind of always trying to figure out how to do. And it turns out there really isn't a good way to do that. You just have to go, hey, listen to it. Like,
and honestly, it's different to you than it is going to be to everybody else's ears, depending on where they're coming from and everything. So I think that's really smart.
Well, that's my favorite thing about music too, is like, you just kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, that's my favorite thing about it, is that a song it's completely open to interpretation. Like, what it means to me and what I was specifically writing about, sometimes I don't even know, but like, what I was trying to convey with it is the specifics of it don't matter at the end of the day. Like, it has nothing to do with it. Because once you put the song out into the world, my personal, how I equate it to my life and yada, 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 is, it doesn't matter. It's how you relate it to your life. It's how you take the lyric. It's how you interpret it and what it means to you as the listener. And so I think that if I kind of impart my own personal stories on, songs or lyrics too much, I'm taking something away from you. And I think that that's super unfair as a listener. And I don't like to do that. So I try to let the music do the talking for me.
I think I think that all really ties into the beginning of a tour cycle. When you come out with a new record as an artist, that's the first time that you see radio people hear it, and the first time you go out on a tour or you go on a promo run and you get to play it for people. That is such an exciting moment, kind of when you transfer that auditory power to somebody else. You take it from you and you give it to somebody else. And for you, that was kind of stifled with COVID. Can you talk to what it was like to be prepared to put out you were ready for tour in May when this
we were getting ready for tour. I mean, yeah, we had some of the best touring of our career lined up. I mean, it was Guns N' Roses, it was the Foo Fighters, it was Pearl Jam, it was all the festivals. It was gonna be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously that all got halted, and everything is, I'm not entirely sure what's going on. I think everything is still just getting delayed and pushed and pushed and pushed. So we're still in the process of kind of the waiting game, which is, it is what it is. Like, everyone's got to be safe. We got to make sure that, like, we got to heal the world and, like, get back to a semblance of normal. But that's only gonna, that's gonna come with time. So, like, we just all have to be patient. And so that's what I'm doing. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to the day that we get on stage again and can crank amps and connect with the audience one-on-one like that, and not just in a virtual way. But on the other side of things, I've been trying to look at quarantine and this kind of trying to look at everything kind of in a positive light, because I think it's really easy to get kind of dragged down into the negativity of the situation we're all in. And, I've gotten to do some very cool collaborations and covers of things and kind of artistic things that wouldn't have come to fruition or probably, they wouldn't exist if we were in a normal normal circumstances, where we put out an album, we're on a tour cycle, and then, we're traveling, playing a show night after night in a different, state, different country, different whatever. And so quarantine's actually been kind of quite inspiring in a lot of ways, where I've gotten to do some really cool things, like working with Matt Cameron again. I'm doing a cover of Halfway There, or working with the amazing Elaine Johannes and doing The Keeper, or most recently I just worked with Mike Garson and covered Quicksand by David Bowie for the Bowie tribute. And so things, and then stripped down versions of our own songs and things like that. Like, for years I'd wanted to do like a piano acoustic version of our song House on a Hill, and now was kind of the perfect opportunity to do so. So I've been looking at quarantine. I've actually been I feel like I've been strangely productive in quarantine. Which
I've been talking to artists throughout this entire pandemic, I guess, and some are so ingrained in the tour life that they're literally miserable, don't know what to do, and the other portions seem to be just fully digging into that creative internal, renaissance that's gonna come out. And I just think when all the artists like you can put out music in the next couple of years, it's going to change. It's going to change the face of music altogether.
It's going to be a really exciting time. And I think that, I mean, I'm kind of an isolated person. Like I'm introverted and I'm kind of shy, and I don't like to leave my house if I don't have to. So, so I feel like I've been handling this relatively well. I mean, I've certainly had my breakdowns and, you know, my moments like everyone has. I can now say I'm officially getting a little bit bored, but strangely, especially now with the album coming out, like I was saying the other day, I was like, who knew you could be so busy and not leave the house? Like, I haven't left this, like the room I'm in right now, which I know looks all black, but like I haven't left this room in like 4 days, and I still feel like I haven't slept. Like, it almost feels like I'm on tour. How much? So it's bizarre times.
Well, February 12th cannot come soon enough. I love that it's following on February 5th, Foo Fighters. It feels like I'm getting the tour experience I wanted. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have both CDs. I can just play them back to back interchangeably for a good couple hours straight. And I feel like I'm at a show.
So yeah, you know, put the headphones on, put some mood lighting. You know, you can put your own little like light show on at home. It's a good time.
Have you thought about doing any kind of digital streaming stuff once the record drops?
Yes. It's in the works. I'll leave it at that.
I like that. A little mystery.
But yes.
Music videos have always been such a huge hit for you guys. What do we got? I mean, how do you work that during the pandemic? Is there any?
It's tricky.
Yeah,
tricky to say the least. We got quarantined in March. So I've been in Maine because I was up in New England rehearsing because we were supposed to go on tour, and so I got stuck up here. And I live in New York most of the time, and so I hadn't been back to New York since March. And we finally got to the place where we're like, we have to make music videos. The record's coming out. Like we gotta figure it out. And I'm a complete and utter hypochondriac. Like pre-pandemic, I would fly with masks and wear rubber gloves and wasn't a huge fan of shaking.
Oh, you mean the common sense of not wanting germs because your body and your vocal cords are what?
Yeah, well, it's especially on tour. Once you get sick on tour, I think it's such a fear of mine, is once you get sick on tour, even if you get better, you never get better. Like you don't. There's not enough time off to fully recuperate. So for the rest of that tour, whether that's another week of tour or another 6 months or another year, you're never 100% again. So it's kind of a phobia of mine. So this has been a little bit of my worst nightmare, like everyone's, I'm sure. So I'm not going to have it worse by any means.
You're the most prepared for it. Like you are.
But I was strangely prepared for it. So anyway, we get to the point where we have to make music videos, and so it was the first time I went back to New York since the pandemic, and we shot 3 back to back. 25 is obviously out, but just the safety protocols alone were insane. Like just so much. I mean, we took every safety precaution we possibly could, and I think, knock on wood, I think everyone got out all, clean and safe and good bill of health and everything. But it was a lot of work in a very short amount of time. But I'm really proud with how everything. And obviously, 25 is out right now, and So It Went is on its way. I've been working on editing that, so that's coming soon. As the fans will know, my catchphrase soon. It's coming soon.
Oh yeah. As someone who's worked on screen, I'm sure that how you present your songs in a visual world is very important to you too. So I could see that what's already kind of a stressful but exciting and fun process, like making a video, adding the pandemic on top of it and adding everything else, has just made it that much more stressful. But man, I bet it'll make it feel that much better when you drop it. We're all waiting.
I'm really proud of the videos that we've made. I mean, I think 25, like, I really wanted to kind of create. I think visuals are always, I don't want to say hard, but they're always a little challenging, just because how do you take something that, a song is so grand and it has so many layers to it and so many levels, and you spend so long working on it, that in a music video you shoot essentially in a day. So how do you take something that it has so much depth to it and somehow convey that in a visual manner that complements it but doesn't distract and doesn't take away from the song itself, but enhances it. And it's I'm very I don't know, kind of maniacally meticulous. Like I write all the treatments, and I work on it constantly. So it's a lot of internal mental work before we actually get on set. And with 25, I really wanted to kind of juxtaposition. I really wanted to showcase New York. I really wanted New York to be the lover of the the lover of the video, instead of having to be a man or a person. I really wanted New York City to be the lover, because I've had a love affair with New York my whole life. So and I thought that it went very well with the song, of this glamorous depiction of despair, and juxtapositioned with like the raw grit of New York. And so it's it's the glamour, but it's also the pain. And I think that just kind of really represents New York and how I've always seen it. And kind of trying to create something that maybe sums up 25 is just another story. It's my story, but it's one of many stories. Like, everyone is suffering the same battle of life, and 25 is just another one of those stories. So I wanted to kind of give a visual representation of that kind of showed different aspects of my life, or my characters, versions of myself, if that makes sense, and still have it kind of flow.
It does.
Wait, I don't know. I'm rambling now. Like,
no.
Anyway, I put a lot of thought. I put a lot of thought in the videos. So I'm excited for people to see the next one.
I'm just listening to you, thinking about how this band started in 2009. So you're not at all a new band. You've been working hard for years, and there were probably years in the beginning where you didn't have the opportunity to write the treatment or to be a part of that process. So to hear you speaking so passionately and so creatively about it is just really cool. Like, I love to see the longevity. I want to see you guys continue to do this and continue to make more rock and roll music. What you've done for females and what you're continuing to do, and following the steps of the great women before you, who you've always paid tribute to and have worked with. I mean, everything from Evanescence to Hailstorm. I mean, you've worked with everybody. And the relationship there is great. You've slid into the boys club like nobody's business, which we both know ain't easy. Touring with Guns N' Roses and Soundgarden and Marilyn Manson. Oh my God, your duet with him. Get out, girl.
Oh, thanks, man. That was a while ago.
Dude, but it lives rent free in my brain.
Oh,
so February
awesome.
12th, we are all so excited for the rest of the record to come out. Thanks for putting out good rock and roll, especially for the station. We love to have it on the air.
Thank you. No, thank you for the support. Like, we couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are keeping us alive right now. So thank you. Thank you.
Supporting genuine artistry is why I got into radio. I wanted to be able to share somebody else's gifts. So this is like the greatest.
That's awesome. Well, I love it.
Come back to St. Louis.
I'm so happy.
Come back to St. Louis soon. Come see me in the Delmar Loop. Maybe the next time you come through, you can show me some of your favorite spots. We'll do a video or something. It'd be great.
Absolutely. As soon as the world starts to get back on track, I think I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the next year. It can only go up. I mean, I'm not knock on wood as I say that, but it can only get better. So
even if
everyone
it's 2025 and we don't see each other, I'll still rock a mask with you. Gloves, the whole nine.
I think that, honestly, I think the mask thing should be like, why wasn't this a winter fashion statement in previous years? Forget the pandemic and the health aspect of it. It keeps your face so warm. Warm. I live in Maine, and it is so freaking cold. And when I go outside, I'm like, mask. It's like hat, mask, scarf. Like,
this thing saves me. It's incredible. I also don't have to look at people or smile.
I know you don't have to worry about the bottom half of your face for makeup. It's great.
And it's such fashion. You can really, with some chains and stuff.
Oh yeah, you can get creative with it. I like it.
I've taken too much of your time already, and I need more because we didn't even get to talk fashion. You're my fashion icon. Okay, next time we chat, we'll chat fashion. Taylor, thank you so much. You're an angel. Rock your angel.
You're the best. Thank you so much. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks.
All right, bye.